The idea of this disappointing lack of content, unfortunately, also extends to the Pocket Monsters themselves. Champions features a paltry pool of only 186 to battle with. The ones that have been included remind me of the popular Cool Kids Club from grade school days. You have the captain of the football team, Charizard, and head cheerleader, Sylveon, hanging out at the lunch table, but the nerdy Porygon or the weird looking ton that eats glue are nowhere to be found. In fact, basically all early evolutions are absent, and baffling omissions like Rillaboom, Mewtwo, Mew, or most of the other legendaries leave glaring holes in the roster. We can expect some gaps to get filled in over time with live service updates, of course, but how fast and to what extent is still a mystery, and what's available right now leaves me feeling like Psyduck, confused and with a headache. In addition to missing plenty of fan favorites, the competitive community has taken a particularly hard critical hit due to a lack of both Pokemon and held item options. For example, out of the 22 monsters that made up the various teams of the 2025's Pokémon World Championships Masters Division Tournament, only 3 are currently usable in Champions. The unique goodies that you can have your team hold are nearly as uninspired, with a vast majority either being healing berries or items that improve certain move types, not including the Mega Evolution Stones, with outliers such as the Scope Lens, Light Ball, Mental Herb, and Shell Bell being the saving graces. Heavy hitters like the Power Herb, Choice Specs, Air Balloon, and many others used by the most hardcore players are all absent, which could make Champions a tough berry to swallow at the moment. With this year's Pokemon World Championships rolling around at the end of August, it's hard to say if this will be in a good enough place by then to serve as the de facto battling platform it's meant to be. To get your favorite Pokemon onto your team, assuming they've made the cut that is, You have two main options: bring them over from a previous game via Pokemon Home, or recruit them from Champions Farm. The home route I found to be pretty straightforward and relatively painless process, both when I was importing them into Champions as well as when I sent them back. The recruit method is also fairly simple, but as you can only get Pokemon that happens to be in a rotating pool of seemingly random options, finding the one you're hoping for is a bit of a gotcha situation. You get one free pull each day, as well as the ability to either spend a resource called Victory Points to permanently add them to your collection or rent them for free for week-long stretches. The countdown to pull again can also be shortened using special tickets you earn by completing objectives. If this all makes Pokemon Champions sound like a mobile game, that's because it is, or will be later this year, as currently it's only available on the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 as of this review. Even still, that scent of your typical mobile game app is already all over this. From how the menus and UI are laid out, to the various currencies you can earn that speed up timers and expand your storage. The DNA of its mobile-focused business model comes through loud and clear. Thankfully, at least right now, I haven't found myself hindered by sticking to the free version of Champions. Typical of a gacha game, beginner gifts are plentiful in the early hours, even without the $7 USD paid starter pack bundle that's being offered. Since the basic, casual, ranked, and private battles are all free, I haven't yet felt the need to put money in to continue playing. And at least for the time being, the primary VP currency can only be earned by completing daily, weekly, and special missions, or by competing in ranked battles, so things don't feel quite as predatory as other mobile games can. From a visual standpoint, for a game that's all about battling, Champions falls on its face harder than Brock does whenever he tries to flirt with the latest pretty face on the TV show. Instead of being the stars of the show, the Pokemon lack texture and detail. Moves themselves fare a bit better overall, but can swing wildly in quality. For example, Hyper Beam vaporizes the opponent like a scene out of Dragon Ball Z, but Body Slam sees the user simply rise up and come back down, flattening their opponent while remaining basically in their idle animation. Is it so much to ask that attacks originate from somewhere that makes sense? It's 2026, it would be great if Bullet Seed didn't just spawn a few feet out in front of my Pokemon. The Pokemon series isn't exactly known for its looks, so as much as I would love it if Champions looked like last year's Digimon story Time Stranger, I didn't expect it to. But for a game all about the fighting, I hoped a bit more effort would have been spent on making it all look cool at least. I tried to compare the models to the games as far back as 2018's Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee to see what, if any, changes or updates had been made, and I'd be hard pressed to point out any major tweaks. Simply seeing your Pokemon in 3D no longer has that same majesty or gravitas that it had when the mainline games were all 2D sprites, and Champions fails to push the bar any higher to bring back that sense of excitement. While there are many aspects of Champions that have doused my excitement a bit, I have found the training room and what it offers to be quite successful. By spending your VP, you're able to not only boost a Pokemon's individual stats, but what I found far more exciting is you can swap out moves and its special ability, or even change its nature. All of these alterations stay locked to Champions, and won't carry over if you send them off to another game, but this sort of fine-tuning does provide room for theory and strategy crafting that I really appreciate. That said, requiring you to pay VP to make those changes does blemish it somewhat. I worry that if Nintendo ever does decide to allow players to purchase the VP resource directly, it'll quickly spiral into a pay-to-win situation. Pokemon Champions could have and should have been an easy knockout, but instead, fans got a stripped-down, underwhelming, and content-barren package with an unfortunate monetization model. Battling Pokemon and testing your team against folks around the world is as fun as it ever has been, and thankfully Champions manages to deliver on the core of what it's trying to do there. I've enjoyed the matches I've played, but all the time I've spent has mostly just made me want to hop back into my saves from the main series or revisit either of the Pokemon Stadium games. Pokémon Champion proves that the tried and true combat system that's helped define Nintendo's monster catching monolith has endured for a reason. But it's going to need a lot of updates and maybe an evolution of its own before this is the definitive way to do battle. For more monsters, pocket or otherwise, check out our reviews of Pokemon Pokopia or Monster Hunter Stories 3. And for everything else, stick with IGN.